Hey, welcome to the State of Decay 2 stream. We've been chatting with folks on the Twitch chat for a little while here, and we're ready to go because today, as you can see up above me, base building was just revealed on IGN, and we can talk about it for the first time. So, as usual, we've got me, Jeffrey Card, and Brant Fitzgerald over here on the left. But
off the screen.
Our left, you're right, whatever. But the most important people we have here right now
Yay.
are Brian Giaime
Hi, guys.
and
Hi.
Susan Oleinik. So Brian Giaime is the designer in charge of our base building system and several other systems in the game. And then Susan Oleinik is our UX designer. And both of those disciplines, also those areas of expertise, are very, very relevant to what was revealed by IGN today.
I think it's important to note that Susan has her own gang sign.
I do. That's
fantastic. I need to find a way to steal that.
All right, so we're talking with the chat here. And so there actually, before we get started, there were a couple of questions that came in from Discord this morning about base building. I wanted to just throw these to you, Brian, real quick before we get into the video itself.
Okay.
Ooh,
So the first one, Garlic Burp asked about the supply locker,
right?
And because there are many people who are kind of they've been brushing up against the capacity limits of the supply locker in the original game,
yes.
And they're asking how much crap can we cram into our supply locker this time around?
Okay, so I actually talked to programming before we came to the stream, so I can give you a very precise answer.
Yes.
You should not ever have to face any meaningful limitation. There is technically one for engineering reasons. We even have like special stacking rules in the supply locker, so stuff that normally would take up different slots in your inventory or a car actually all just becomes one Uber stack in the supply locker. So you should be able to keep as much stuff as you can possibly think of in there, although it is technically going to hit a limit at some point.
So basically any normal person is going to be functionally infinite, right?
Yeah.
But if somebody like I almost want to issue a challenge
because someone's going to do it. Somebody will find a way.
Yeah, but you'd have to you'd basically have to get like 10,000 repair kits or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Or no, even though they would stack though.
They would. I think they stack to 99 and then they roll over.
So
again
you would need a
like
million repair kits.
Somebody would basically sit there and just like it would be like leveling blacksmithing in Skyrim. Someone just wants to make the million iron daggers, and then eventually they will find something.
So the only hordes you have to worry about, instead of hoarding your stuff, you have to worry about zombie hordes. Yay! You're allowed to hoard all your things. This is amazing.
I'm sure some of you are up to the task.
So Munchkins, and we'll get into a lot of answers to your question there, Munchkins, is asking about the different options that are available in different bases, the variety of different bases. We'll definitely get into that in a second.
Yes.
The other question that I had was actually, let's start the video because the other question I had is actually pretty relevant to the video.
Are you saying there's a good segue available?
There's
to
a
us?
good segue available to us here. Yes. So hopefully this video should be muted.
Have they seen this?
And let's put the right people up here in the corner.
Please.
So hopefully you're not hearing the sound of Richard and Ryan talking. But right here, this is the container fort base. This is where Foggy gave them their tour.
Yep.
And in Discord this morning, we had a question from Coconut Kid asking, how representative of all the bases is this container fort? Is it a big base? Is it a small base? Is it a put it in context for us, Brian.
So it's at the sort of high end of what a base is capable of. Size is not the only thing you think about with a base. Different bases have different built-in facilities, different amounts of large or small spaces to build. The container fort in particular gives you some free sort of watchtower behavior. If you have any ammo in the base, people will actually just go stand up in the corners and like fight zombies from there. There's like a big giant floodlights that go down from the front when you have power. So this is a pretty sweet sort of towards the end of what you can see out of a base. That does not mean it is the ultimate one or the biggest one. It's on one of the maps. We have 3 maps. The other maps have sort of different incarnations of like what the final progression feels like for a base. This one, I really like it. It is heavily fortified, but it's not the only way to sort of wrap things up.
Yeah, the thing that's nice is we've got enough variety in the different types of bases that we have, and there's so many different ways in which you could vary what a base could offer the player.
Yeah.
That there's not one base like in the original game, the warehouse was kind of the big
one
base.
ultimate.
It's kind of one ultimate.
I played
base.
it too. You sort of saw that immediately, and we're like, this is where I should go with all my stuff. We do have like there's like a cost structure where like the mid-tier bases and low-tier bases and the high-tier bases. This is in that final category, and the most similar thing you'll see about them is the fact that they have a sort of similar amount of effort you have to put in to actually claim that as your home site. And so you can use that to sort of organize them if you want to think about what the game is showing you, but we do try to make them all feel sort of distinct in terms of what they give you.
So we had a question in here. Somebody was asking about the fact that early on in this video, some zombies wandered. Like you see it right here.
Yeah.
Zombies wandered randomly into the base. It actually wasn't that random.
It's not random at all. So you're actually seeing the tail end of a siege. I think I think somebody left this base sitting for like an hour, which is why everything's busted. Like if you ignore sieges and don't fight them off, you'll actually see some of the facilities in base will get those cracks on them, and you have to actually go and repair them later. Which you see Foggy actually jump in, I think, on his kitchen and then hit repair for just a couple of labor in like 15 minutes.
And then,
There we go,
infirmaries.
yeah.
Yep. If you were to successfully fight off the zombie siege, you would not have to deal with that. But if you were unable to deal with that, you would have to go and repair it later. There are consequences.
So basically there's invisibly the end of a siege going on right now, and that's why the base is full of zombies.
Right.
Normally your base is not full of zombies.
Correct.
So fortification is actually useful. It does make a difference.
There's been a lot of questions about reinforcing the entrance doors, and I'm going to say no. Right?
Yeah. So we the way that you build up your base is through the facilities. Like it's these big. So you can build things like watchtowers to defend your base.
Yep.
You have defensive options, but
Yeah, the important thing in this case is to have enough ammo. All the watchtowers in the world don't do anything if no one has any bullets to shoot. So as long as you have enough ammo and a watchtower, or in this case, just moving into the container fort actually gives you the watchtower behavior for free. You'll have people actually able to defend the base and sort of try and get the zombies before they get in. Every now and then, a horde might wander by, and if somebody inside is making too much noise, you'll just have to deal with that. But that's the exception, not the rule.
cool. So in here, yeah. So I do. I like seeing here that he. I kind of like the fact that he started with the results of a siege, because we can see the broken facilities. We can see that when there's a zombie siege, it's not just your people that are at risk, but it's also your physical.
Yep. No, it all ties up. I think zombie sieges also give you like injuries if you don't defend yourself real well. There's a bunch of sort of consequences to that.
Let's see here. So is there a way to see which facilities make how much noise?
Yes.
Well, yes.
Actually, there's a little threat level thing that they're not going to pick in this video, but if you were to select that, it would tell you exactly how much zombie threat is coming from all the different things.
So down the bottom left corner there, it says threat level.
Yeah,
If you like highlighted that,
The bottom of that.
so each of those things along the left side, if you highlight them, they'll give you full breakdowns of huge amounts of information.
That's what the little, so each one of those is a different sort of window into how that, you could almost say subsystem is currently affecting your community or your base.
Yeah, if we hide your faces for a little, you can see that we've got resources on top, and then community. Actually, I wonder. Let me back that up a little bit so we can sort of. I'll pause right here. We got resources, community, morale, effects, and threat level. Do you want to talk about like what is
Just like a rundown of each of these?
Yeah, just like what each of those things means.
Sure, if we can. So resources is where you track how many resources you are earning and how many you need to sort of keep things in like homeostasis for each individual thing. Your survivors need to eat, but you also might have gardens, and you're going to see what they're consuming and also how much you're growing. If you have ammo, you might have your watchtowers just burning a certain amount of ammo per day to keep everything up and running. You also might have an outpost that's like providing ammo to you, so you can see all that tallied up. Fuel. If you have, again, a lot of the specialized outposts actually cost fuel to maintain, like that's how people are getting power and water back to the base. But you also might have a source of fuel. Foggy actually has both of those. His water outpost will cost fuel to maintain, and he's powering it with his fuel outpost, so he's probably going to be at 0. So that'll all be tallied up with a bunch of pluses and minuses where you can see it. Same with meds and materials.
So basically, there's so many things that could feed into these resources. Either aspects of your base that are pulling resources out, aspects of your base that are contributing resources, and you can see a full breakdown of all of that stuff right there on the screen.
That's the sort of give me the lay of the land of where everything's coming from and going if you want to check on stuff.
Hey, Prophecy asks, are there spotlights you can add to the base so you can spot zombies at night?
Are there, Brant?
There are not spotlights you can add, but each base is now wired for lights. And one of the things you can do is either build a facility that provides power, or you can go out and find an outpost that does the same thing.
So if you don't have a generator, it's dark. But if you do have a generator, it's...
If you have a big enough generator, you're not going to get by with just like the little ones that you can carry along on a person. You
Has
actually
to
have
be
to
baseline
build.
power.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really really adds something to be driving along at night and then come over the rise and see lights, and you're like, oh, that's my home.
The only
I'm
source
home.
of light. Yep.
So that is not the button I meant to push. I meant to go like
got some more
this.
buttons.
Yeah,
There we go.
Hi.
We're professionals. Okay, so there are other things. So there was that the sort of the personnel community stuff.
Yes, tons of that.
That's looking back at here, we've got a few different resources here. We've got
Correct.
What is this?
That's just total population.
And then right here is
It's labor, and then how many beds aren't currently in use. So if you wanted to bring more people in, how many places for them do you have?
Cool. So So and then morale. What do we need to know about the morale system? Very high level.
Let's see. Morale basically tells you how well you're doing. If you have people's needs met, if you've built stuff that they like, if there aren't, terrifying threats coming, like stomping down at your door, morale's going to be good. If you're running out of resources, or people are really feeling unsafe because you haven't built the watchtower they want, or if they need good medical facilities and you haven't provided those,
or something terrible happened in a mission.
Maybe somebody's just an asshole.
Or they just didn't get enough attention.
That is also
it's
true.
It's a legit problem. We have some divas in our game that might randomly come up that you have to deal with.
Just from time to time.
Just from time to time.
Although you can choose not to recruit them.
Yes, that's valid too.
Several people have asked about what the numbers behind the facilities mean.
Like Fire Safe Storage 3, right
and
there.
Kitchen 2 and stuff like that.
Yep.
Brian?
So, Brian,
that means you upgraded it. So Fire Safe Storage
Level
3 is...
2.
Exactly.
Yes, you started with Fire Safe Storage 1 and you upgraded it twice.
Yes. This base in particular, you get to start with Fire Safe Storage 3 because the whole base is made out of containers. So it felt reasonable to give you some storage to use all those containers for.
And basically every base has stuff like that, right? Like we really thought through what each base had uniquely to offer and tried to make sure it provided that natively, even before you've added stuff.
Oh, we actually decided on the bases and what they would do sort of before we decided what all the verbs would be. And then in many cases sort of created the functionality for those bases to do their stuff so they could have their unique character.
Keelers wonders, what happens when your threat level reaches max?
Big ol' siege. Oh man, crazy.
You're too loud.
Just... it's basically like you're building 3 things at once, and you're also training, shooting, and somebody's having a party. You get a siege with as much as we can possibly throw at you.
And then effects, what is that?
That's sort of the show me more button, and in there are, Susan, maybe you want to jump in on this one.
Sure. Active effects. Well, yeah, I wish we could click in on that.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Can I tap in on
when
that?
we can actually stream the game ourselves, that would be amazing.
We'll show you.
Soon.
Yeah.
Soon.
But is it just anything that is going on that affects the entire community will be listed there under active effects?
Yeah, that's correct. So we have a lot of interesting things like, noise level, that's more in the threat level, but also just, for example, you might have someone that snores, and that makes everyone kind of upset. Or you might have someone that's really good at throwing parties, and it makes everyone kind of happy. So it's kind of fun. So you see character effects, base effects, things going on in your world will kind of line up to get the kind of general idea of what everyone's feeling at that moment.
It's like all the buffs, anything that you've spent energy on that is going to happen for the next hour or so, you can see it in active effects.
So we got Susan here, and one of the things, that one of our major goals when we were making this game was to try and kind of level up our efforts from the previous game. So in the previous game, our base screen filled only about a third of the screen. It was very tiny, awkward to use on PC. And so when we came into this, we went through a few different iterations of this screen to try to, do a lot better than we did before. Do you want to talk a little bit about sort of the theory of what we ended up with here?
Yeah, sure, definitely. So this screen has gone through a lot of iterations, right? So in the original game, there was some benefit of everything being in your little notepad. You can see it. But when it's only a tiny third of the screen and we wanted to add this much functionality to our base building, we were given with a challenge of how do you show all that with that little space? And I think there's also, from a UX perspective, there's a beauty in it's full screen, so we have space. Well, that means you can't tell when something's about to bite you. But isn't that the way it is in the zombie apocalypse? If you have your head down over your blueprint of your house and you're kind of debating what to do, yeah, you're going to be distracted. So if something comes up and nips you.
Right.
The good news is that if something does bite you, full screen UI will wipe away so you can go back to the task at hand. So that's kind of a cool thing. But we made a very conscious decision to make this full screen so we could really put in all this functionality in here. And hopefully it's laid out so you guys get it. So, yay.
Here's another good question about facilities. Han Solo, Dolo,
DO1?
Dolo. Han Solo Dolo, yeah.
Can we assign survivors to outposts or facilities like the Watchtower?
People will sort of assign themselves to stuff. There's a whole intricate system with a bunch of little moving parts going on that basically tries to make sure the people in your community are doing the highest priority stuff at any given time. So you don't have to, but it will look like that's happening if you pay attention to where people are going.
True Vulgarian asks, does the game pause while you're in the screen?
No.
Nope.
Does not, and
Zombies.
why not?
Because it's like
State
real
of
life,
Decay.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also because it's multiplayer, that we don't want, if
Yeah.
you want to be able to do this screen
Right.
while your friends are playing and not pause the game for everybody.
An important thing to keep in mind here is that because we want you to feel focused on this, we also want you to feel like you should go somewhere safe to do this.
Yeah.
So maybe don't stand in the middle of a highway and then manage your base. Maybe go find an outpost to huddle in, or at least clear out a shed and then hunker down for a second if you want to worry about it.
Sure. There's a question back there. Someone asked, what's the difference between UX and UI?
What is it, Susie?
This is great. So I'm the UX designer. I kind of decide the flow of the information on the screen. UI is the physical, actual art that you see on the screen. And we have two very talented people. We have Alan and Krista. Hope they can get on sometime. And
Yeah,
they're the
we'll
ones that
definitely have
made
on
this
sometime.
pretty. I just kind of I drew boxes and told them to make it look good. So I get to literally draw squares for a living. It's kind of rad.
So, but then UX is like more the theory behind how it
Right.
works.
The theory of what information do we want to display in what order and what's most important, and do we bury it or do we delete it or do we show it all at once? So
Yeah.
it's a lot of thinking about what do I need to see in this moment, especially when I might get nommed by a zombie at any given moment.
Yeah, I mean, it would be impossible to have the kind of systems that we have in our game without somebody just full-time trying to find ways to make sure that all of this information can get into people's brains in a way that allows them to understand and be excited about it.
Filthy Dr. Phil asks, do outposts require any sort of upkeep? Is there...
Some of them. The ones that just provide you resources, you're good, they're done. The ones that provide you with base-wide power or water or other special things we're not going to talk about yet, do generally cost, I think it's almost always fuel per day just to maintain them.
Actually, let's jump in and talk about power and water, because I know that the Foggy
Sure.
goes into water a little bit in here,
Yeah.
but can you explain the system, how it works?
So an individual facility can have power or water, or the entire base can have power or water. And there's buttons on each facility, different ones access it differently that sort of benefit from it. So if you have a kitchen, you can't make coffee without water. If you have a workshop, you can make some sort of low-end basic explodables without it, but if you have power, you can make better, like higher-end pipe bombs, stuff like that. Eventually, you can make fuel bombs.
So in the screen right now, if you see these little white water droplets, if you can pause right now, Jeffrey,
Yeah, just point
that
at 'em.
means that we have something
my gosh.
applied to this.
Pause.
Yeah, this base.
like- it's
Everyone
that
has
bad.
water. So sometimes you can apply individual mods to just give certain facilities water, but this is really cool. This means something really rad happened to make sure that everyone gets water in all of your facilities.
Yeah, so
here.
it looks like Foggy went and he outposted some kind of water
Yeah.
water access
They're
facility.
like water
Yeah.
treatment plants or water towers in certain
Over
cases.
there. Sorry,
Yeah.
Brian.
Okay.
So yeah, see the little. Do they see your mouse, Jeffrey?
Yes, they do.
Okay, cool.
That works.
That's your
Yeah,
outpost.
so that gave water to everyone, but he doesn't have power.
No.
But he does have that one bike generator mod, right?
Right.
Can you
And so-
explain that mod, please? It's one of my favorite mods we have in
Oh,
the,
the bike
game.
generator. The ongoing saga of the bike generator.
Oh, boy.
No, it provides power to one facility in exchange for labor, and I think it actually has a morale hit.
It is literally a bicycle that it's assumed that one of your people is sitting on it, huffing.
And to head off the next question, no, you never see anybody actually spinning away on the bike.
Because of size restrictions.
Yeah, no,
they
we-
couldn't make a real sized bike.
It would
Well-
wind up like interfering with like most of the other geometry, and so the bike wound up too small. And someday we will give you the full, long, sad story of the bike generator, but it does work. You do get power from it. It's a cool thing to find. It's power without fuel. There's actually a nice mechanical value to that, and it goes anywhere that can benefit from power.
So, like, for instance, if we installed it, like if we opened up the workshop and we installed the bike generator in the workshop,
Yes.
Right.
and it completed, what we would see is this little icon right here.
If somebody was working on it.
Yeah,
There, yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. If somebody's working on it, then that little icon right here would light up, and then anything that required power at the workshop you could do, but you still don't have power everywhere else.
Correct. There's
Cool.
even sometimes passive effects, like the workshop. I think you get to recycle materials better, so you get a little bit of a materials upkeep if you have power at your workshop.
Cool.
Sometimes there's other little benefits like that turn on.
That nameless ghoul asks if the bike generator like increases your cardio skill or anything like that.
No.
Unfortunately, there's not one particular person who's on it.
Yeah,
it's
so
more
there's-
like you're assigning abstract labor.
Right.
Yes.
This is a deliberate choice. Like in order to keep the game from getting too micromanagey, there is a sort of layer of abstraction between people and the amount of work they do and actually assigning it. you have to think about like how much of the player's time are they spending managing stuff versus actually going out and doing stuff and feeling it and benefiting from it. And one of the ways to sort of keep that time relatively low is that rather than sticking people like little board game pieces all over the place and constantly having to operate who's where, people just provide labor, and then you spend labor at different times in your base to get the stuff you want.
So things like if there's suddenly like somebody gets attacked by a zombie that came into the base or something like that, it's not like there was a particular job they were doing that is now interrupted and ruined.
Right. You don't have to worry about that and going and re-upping stuff and then reassigning things.
They just
It all just works.
It. Yeah.
Jarwick, the answer to your question, yes, there's one mod per facility that can take a mod.
Correct.
So
Yeah, and there's different mods that are valuable in different facilities.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
some are only valid in certain
Correct. Some stuff isn't like there's mods for training facilities that don't make any sense outside of training facilities.
Right.
An espresso machine only really belongs in one place.
Really only does.
Yeah.
Nicole's asking, is there a way to tell the difference between the built-in facilities and the facilities the player builds themselves?
Why, yes.
Pitch to Susie.
Yeah, you load up the game, you come into a
jump
thing,
around.
and there will just be some stuff naturally there.
So it's whatever's
That
there
isn't
when you
built
first
in.
come in.
That's the benefit of kind of scouting around and picking where you want to live, is some of
find
these
it.
things have
There,
built-ins.
pause there.
Aha,
Oh.
here we go. Send back to you, though.
Yeah, so you can
More
see the ones that
details
have
on
a
that front.
it's a little visual note. The ones with the blue background were there and can't be torn down. The ones with the black background can be torn down. Sometimes we do give you facilities that are not just built-ins, like we sort of pre-spawn something you could make yourself. And if you want to, you can replace it. Other times, like the storage, we give you something that is just sort of glued to the base and it's not going anywhere. And those, yeah, they behave differently.
Yeah, so like the parking facilities over here where you manipulate cars and stuff
Right.
like that.
Right,
Like
yeah.
that's,
You're not changing that to something else. That's just
That
what
will
that
always
is.
be a parking lot, yeah.
Yeah.
UL Vanilla asked, leader projects, what are those? I'm not sure we're...
How much are we talking about that?
Yeah.
we're probably not talking about
And
that
how much
yet.
time do we have left?
Yeah, exactly.
Womp womp. Stay tuned.
Loaded Couch says, this all seems like it pertains to single player. How does all this work in four-player co-op? What is that?
Sure. So the thing to keep in mind with base building and co-op is that when you're showing up as a co-op player in somebody else's game, you're sort of seeing the world that they're living in from day to day and seeing the goals that they have. So you're there largely to sort of help push forward whatever they're pushing forward. And that being said, you get access to a lot of the stuff from their base. So we made all of the crafting of items and stuff that you can use instant so that a co-op player can show up in your game and benefit from the stuff that you've built up and make stuff that they can then use. So if I have a Workshop 3 and you come to my base and I have power in my workshop, you'll get to make super high-end decoys and explosion stuff that you would not be able to make yourself, and then you can use some of it in the field when you're there, and you can also take it home with you.
Whose resources do you use when you craft those?
You are always using your own resources, but you benefit from all the upgrades and buildings that the host of the game has.
Okay, so if you've built up a bunch of like materials and ammo and stuff like that at home,
Right.
you can come into somebody else's map, use your
Totally.
resources to craft stuff
Yep.
at their facilities,
Yep.
and then leave it there for them or take it home or whatever you
You
want
could
to
do either, yes.
Exactly.
Asimore asks, can you have more than one watchtower?
If you want to.
Yeah.
If
you
it's
have
worth the space to you, yeah.
Yeah, no, you'll find the pressure of choosing what to build is still there, but if you want to have 2 watchtowers, you can have 2 watchtowers.
We did have a question earlier from Garlic Purp saying, is there a basis big enough that you can build every single possible thing in the game?
No.
Because that wouldn't be interesting.
No, the whole,
No.
so like, you know,
Because it's State of Decay.
it is. You're supposed to have choices. The choices have consequences. If you can make everything in one base, the choice you should make is go to that base and make all the things. The hope is that from even like the same base in like different games, different communities, you would build it differently, put different stuff there, and that would help contribute to a different experience.
Andy B, can you upgrade the bike generator to a giant hamster wheel?
Oh man.
Now you will be able to. I'm kidding.
Coconut Kid asks, can pre-built buildings be upgraded? Because that was a problem in the first game,
Yes,
right?
so this really
Yes.
actually bothered me in the first game, is that I always felt like I was getting a kind of a bad deal. We intentionally and went to great lengths to balance the built-in facilities so that you would not need to upgrade them. They would be either exactly as functional or comparably functional with like a side grade to whatever the fully upgraded version is, so you just don't have to worry about it. If it's built in, it's as good as it possibly can be. You shouldn't feel like you have to sacrifice anything.
Right.
Which is a really good decision, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Loaded Couch asks, how many large bases and how far away are they from each other? That's kind of really more of a specific question. It's hard to answer in this kind of setting.
I'd also rather you like
Also spoilery,
find out by playing
yeah.
the game at
Yeah,
that point.
it's kind of
Find out for yourself.
an exploration type thing. Yeah, we'll leave that to you guys to find. Alfred Ben asks, can you talk about other bases? We know about the church, and there was a concept art of a base on a bridge over water. Do we want to we don't want to reveal all of the bases, obviously, but do each of you have like maybe a favorite base that you can just mention?
Okay.
Don't make me choose.
They're
I love
not
all
my
my children
Yeah,
equally.
which child do you like more, Brian?
They're not
Sophie.
my children, so.
So you go. It's easier for you. What's your favorite base?
Oh, the campground.
Yeah.
What about the campground is your favorite?
Because in IRL, in my survival fantasy, I would totally go to my old Girl Scout camp, because it was clearly it's built like a fortress, and I had so many good times there. If I was gonna get stuck there, I would totally do that.
Places to sleep. Places
Camp
to cook
Arrowhead, Stevenson, Washington.
As far as I go, I think actually the bridge fort is probably my favorite one. People talked about seeing the bridge. Partly, it's very tiny, and so it forces you to make a lot of very difficult choices about what you're going to have there.
Yes.
But it's got this sort of it's the kind of thing that it's the same reason as Susan. Like when I'm fantasizing about where would be a really cool place to live in the post-apocalypse. For me, it seems like fortifying a bridge, having the just very limited access points, and I just love standing at the very top of it and just looking out over the terrain.
It's very defensible.
What about you, Brent? Well, we give Brian a little more time to think.
Pick your children, Brian.
You got a favorite?
I actually don't have a favorite. I like seeing each one and how each one's different.
You're not less invested than this than we're joking about me being. You hand built so much of these things.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
there
We do
was
afford this?
Brian
I think we can.
and another guy here, Dan Cole, and I
go.
spent a lot of time together working on bases and massaging them. I actually like the drive-in a lot.
Oh yeah, that's a fun.
Definitely the best place to keep morale high.
Yeah, the drive-in was one of the first ones we ever built.
I think it was
too.
literally the first.
It was in our reveal video too.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's
true.
right.
Yup.
It doesn't look like that very closely anymore. But we've been constantly massaging these things.
Garlic Burp asks, is there a taco truck base? No.
A little too small.
If there
probably.
had been garlic burp, that would have been my natural answer.
Did John Romero's kid make a taco truck zombie game of some kind at one point?
I don't
feel
know.
like
I think somebody
search
did.
for that online.
I think that was a
That's
thing.
Yeah.
All right, so so the thing is, we.
It doesn't have to be
You
your
can do
absolute
it.
favorite.
I know.
It could be one that you would love to highlight.
Oh man, one that I would love to highlight. I'm trying to think because I'm thinking let's see of the all. I don't want to give a number even because we don't want to give specifics. To, how do I even wax poetic about this correctly? I actually really do love the container fort. It's maybe not my favorite, but it maybe has some of the most uniqueness because you're sort of. I always used to joke about my sort of goal for a lot of the base building experience is I'm building my zombie castle.
Yeah.
If I'm going to survive the apocalypse, I'm going to make, and this is my personal fantasy, which is probably why I have a lot to do with the base stuff. I want to fortify the crap out of something and have it be so utterly defensible, so utterly safe that you come inside and it's welcome to our place. We have gone to great lengths to make this for you. And so it's got people manning all the walls. When you get the power on, those big floodlights turn on, and it's got this very sort of, you see the guards posted at that corner, and then that one over there. And they're standing there with their rifles, and you're hope those are my guys. Oh yes, they are. Right. I'm going to go home now. And you walk inside, and you'll have I usually have a farm going in here. Maybe
Actually,
some
that reminds me,
bigger
Brian.
craftsmanship
I was
stuff.
playing the other night, and one of my survivors climbed up with the grenade launcher and
Ha.
kept shooting the light post. So we're gonna have to do something
We should
about.
probably. Yeah. we could, there's still some bugs to tweak.
She kept knocking herself backwards. I was like, "You better stop that."
It's a very open game. It's a lot of simulated stuff.
Yeah.
These things happen.
So Filthy Phil again is asking, is that the biggest base in the game? And earlier on we addressed that. Brian made the point that this is not the biggest base in the game, but it is one of the high end ones.
Yeah.
And really, size is not the only issue.
No, and there's an important piece in there where I remember we had a lot of discussions about this earlier about how should community size sort of affect the game. In the first game, it felt sort of like a progression axis where you just wanted more people forever, and you'd wind up seeing these YouTube videos of people with I have 58 survivors in the giant pile, and I only play as these 2 of them. So it's much more of a playstyle choice if you want to run a large community or a small community this time. So bigger bases aren't just objectively better. You need more people to operate them. They will cost more to move into, and a larger community also eats more food. It's more likely to experience infighting, and so you may well finish the game in a smaller, medium-sized base because that's the kind of community you want it to build. That fit your fantasy better.
Yeah,
Empty nesters.
Yeah, and for
some.
that's one of the reasons why I like the bridge fort. For me, it's not the biggest base. It's not an emblem of having built something very huge over time.
Right.
But it's a comfortable, small place where I can have my group of little of people that I love. There's not so many of them that I can't keep track of who they are.
Right.
It's a different way to play, but it's perfectly valid.
Yep.
Let's see here. What other questions do you guys have? I'm sure we've missed a million. Please feel free to repeat yourselves as many times as
There's
you
been
need.
a ton of questions that aren't really base or facility related that I'm just skipping over. We'll get to a lot of these different topics at different times, I promise you. We've been chomping at the bit to talk about our game, and we will when...
There's one I want to jump on that I'm
Yeah,
seeing. Sassy Snake asks, because there are 3 different maps, do I have to rebuild another base and another map and start all over again in terms of facilities? So, only a little bit. We refund the cost of everything you've built, and we actually give you a speed buff every time you move bases, so that when you do move, you can sort of reconstruct either what you had or something similar in competence to what you had, and then go forward from there.
Yeah, so you still have to rebuild it because you've got a whole new set of slots to
Right.
fit everything into, and maybe it's a different mix. And
Right, you might have
to
a
make
slightly different...
decisions.
Exactly.
Thrill Seeker asked a question that we kind of answered already. If I have like a really kick-ass medical base,
Yep.
base that has some medical facilities, and you join my game, can you take advantage of the upgraded?
Oh, you absolutely can.
Yep.
If I've got my base set up where you can make high-end painkillers because I've got all my stuff built and upgraded and supplied with water, you can show up in my game and just craft yourself a bunch of super high-end stuff. And if you want to, just bounce and go back to your game and have it.
So Full Fury asks, do outposts provide facility actions?
Spoilers, the end.
Okay, there we go. We'll leave it.
Don't make me tell you everything. Find
That's
it in
right.
the
We'll
game,
leave
it's
that
cool.
there. Yeah, that makes sense. Will outposts create safe zones?
Yeah.
Yeah, just like any place that you clear out.
Yeah, no, they sort of need to feel like outposts. Otherwise, you get zombies wandering in
Yeah.
while you're like managing your inventory. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. I'm sure there's a million questions that we've seen that we just skipped right by.
We've missed, and apologies to everyone who's asking great questions. One, they're flying by, and 2, it takes a while to answer each one, so we're not going to be able to get to everything, you guys.
Turvama asks, when you've got a community that's full of heroes and potential leaders, will it have any consequences on morale or anything else?
It depends on the. So, do you want to talk
What-
about heroes and the systems
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
'Cause
So
I don't know how spoilery that
Where's
is.
that?
Yeah, we're going to have a discussion about character progression later on, so we'll get more into that later. But basically, each time someone becomes a hero, they kind of level up the standing of the community, they unlock a special ability. And so there's a wide variety of different special abilities. So if you've got a bunch of morale-focused heroes, then yeah, having a bunch of heroes in your base could totally up morale. But if they've got different specialties,
They might affect other stuff.
they might affect other stuff. So
So
it really depends on who it is you've recruited.
And it's not all about heroes. Like, one of the aspects of a character will be how they affect the overall sort of interactions. Of
Oh yeah,
people.
no, that's true. Even before they become heroes, they'll all. I mean, and that's what that effects window was for.
Yep.
The
Yes.
season showed us.
Const Taylor Star, you asked a question about like the variety of rest and healing facilities. Every facility that Brian designed has different costs associated with it, different requirements, different benefits. So the point here was that we wanted to give you as many options as possible, and the cost effect ratio as well. So.
Right. Now, you're going to spend time building stuff in the beginning of the game. You're going to be building stuff in the middle of the game. You're going to be building stuff at the end of the game. Some of it's going to require stuff you can find anywhere. Some of it's going to require stuff where you really have to go hunting for it. And the end result of that should be, a corresponding gain in self-sufficiency or power or ability to craft cool new stuff, etc.
So, Dystopian Rain asks, in the last stream, Foggy mentioned having a big base with only 2 survivors. Does that mean that there's no people requirements for bases anymore, or are there people requirements?
There are to move in. If you lose people after that, we don't kick you out.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
suck, right?
But like having low labor in a big base means you just can't use a whole lot of stuff going on at once.
Right.
Munchkins,
That's a good question.
Munchkins asks, if you have a base on one map, can you travel to another without completely moving? So right.
How deep do you want to go on
Yeah,
that
so
one?
yeah, so
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
we haven't been answering a lot of questions about exactly the mechanics of moving maps, but we do want the player to sort of to feel at home and earn mastery in the map that they're in at any given time. And so moving to another map is a big deal. It isn't just
You're not going visiting.
visiting. Yeah, no,
Right.
it's a big deal when you
relocating
move.
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, it's much simpler that way in a lot of ways. So that's how that works. Han Solo asks, can you discuss how the research books work? with facilities. Like,
What's the smallest amount of information I can give you?
Yeah.
So there are items in the world you can find that you use that give a character a skill, or if they already have a skill, it actually improves that skill. Sometimes skills provide knowledge, and I think if you guys, you can totally freeze frame this later and dig through it, you will probably see some of this. You'll see stuff where it says like requires knowledge of chemistry, or like bonuses, knowledge of mechanics. There are cases where having knowledge of a certain domain, either
Knowledge of electricity, right there.
So yeah, if you want to build a solar array, you need somebody with knowledge of electricity. How you get that, you can figure out later. I will tell you that skill books will definitely help.
Yeah. So basically, when you get a character, and I'll talk about this more later on when we go through characters. But they've got their 4 basic skills, and then they could have a 5th skill that contributes to the community. And so when a lot of characters start out without any 5th skill in that slot, and so you can totally provide those skills to new people by finding books in the world, or like Brian said, upgrading that skill by or like
Using
leveling
those
it
same
up,
items,
not
yeah.
using the same items. So yeah, it's pretty flexible and cool system there. But we'll get more into that later
Coincast
on.
asks, you mentioned how it's similar to Breakdown. Are there levels to increase the difficulty?
Spoilers.
Yeah, the way that difficulty works is pretty different from Breakdown. There is definitely escalating difficulty over time, but we'll have to get you'll have to play the game to sort of see how that plays out.
Yeah.
Can you create diversions to lure zombies and lower your base zombie attack threat?
Some bases have unique ways to do that I won't spoil for you. I think we'll leave it there.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, the bases, like, I guess like the ideas for these bases came from a lot of different sources. Some of the bases designers came up with, some of the bases artists came up with, and they sort of all came together. They all came together, really well. But each of these bases, once we had the concept of it, a lot of work went into figuring out the exact best way to express the unique personality of this base.
Right.
And so a lot of the stuff like, ooh, you can distract zombies with this. I can
That's
improve morale with
one
that.
of those unique benefits that some places have, sort of stuff that was built before the apocalypse that you can salvage or get back up and running again. We have a question from
Count
Busta.
Count Busta.
Says, if your base is attacked too many times, will broken facilities break completely and disappear? Nope, they will look a lot like what you see on the screen right now. You'll have lots of stuff that has the sort of cracks on it, and then you can spend labor and time to fix it. It doesn't cost you any of your resources, just sort of time to catch back up.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's actually a really nice thing too. The fact that it doesn't mean like getting your base attacked doesn't cost you a ton of resources, but it just does mean you can't use that facility for a while people are putting stuff back together.
They've just got to pick up all the pieces, put them back where they go.
Webfox asks, will there be jails in bases to keep infected zombies, prisoners, etc.? The closest thing is probably the infirmary when you've got somebody who's infected with blood plague. You can put them in there. It's not really a jail. You're not secure from them. If they turn into a zombie, they're a zombie.
This is a somewhat more optimistic zombie survival universe. Try to want to believe in like the positivity of people and less into the abject horror.
So Cot Jockey has a question. It's more of a kind of a UI UX question. Why is the map so blank and without topography like the old one? The old one had a very diegetic map that looked like it was actually a map that you had found in like diegetic's not a word. That's for sound. What's the word for
Arts and craftsy?
Skeuomorphic.
Skeuomorphic. That's what it was. Skeuomorphic. Yeah. So there it was. Let me pause it on the actual map.
On the map. Yeah, sure.
I'm never gonna find it again. It was just briefly up there. Oh, there it is.
There we go.
So yes, the original game, it was a skeuomorphic map that looked like it was something you'd bought at a gas station or something.
Right, exactly.
Like that. But this time we've gone for something cleaner and simpler. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. I can't entirely speak to it. Again, I didn't design the art per se, but we did know that the first State of Decay had a really charming art style, right? And we wanted to really take it in a new direction the second State of Decay, so it was really important for us to kind of streamline a lot of the UI in this game. And so what's great about this map, though, is it really is a one-to-one showing of where is everything. And what you're seeing right now is very populated. Clearly someone has climbed to the top of a watchtower and looked around and scouted, and oh gosh, and there's someone dead in the middle of the screen. That's
They lost somebody.
oh, bad
I think
news
that's the dead body from the previous video, probably.
That's probably true.
You can... Have we discussed what you do with dead bodies?
I think we actually saw it in one of the...
Okay, so we can discuss this. You can always go and loot your friend's corpse to get your stuff back. And that was something I had to design a few months ago, and my mom called and asked me what I did at work that day. And I had to say, well, Mom, I had to design the flow system of what happens when your friend dies and you want to take their stuff.
So
Game industry!
Very respectful VO.
But you'll notice it throughout the game. We moved away, like the original game, almost everything was skeuomorphic, right?
Right.
Like everything had this sense of like, oh, it's your journal, it's got tabs in it, you're turning the pages. This map is a map you just unfolded.
Right.
And we've got a few subtle touches like that. We moved much more in kind of a graphic direction this time around.
Correct. We thought that would be really successful in taking the State of Decay franchise, taking it to a new place, making a lot of opportunity for us to put a lot more information into the screen.
I think that's probably the most key thing right there. Is that we got so much more depth to show. How, we don't have space for things like topography.
Right.
We're trying to show so many freaking icons.
Well, and the base screen here is another great example of you get to see the layout of your base. It isn't a perfect one-to-one. You know, we've had to fudge a few things when these were designed on the screen, but again, we wanted to take what was great about the first game and then try to just expand on it deeper. And so I think hopefully you guys will enjoy the map when it gets more filled out with stuff in your adventures. And yeah.
As you spend time looking around, you will find more things populated there.
Mm-hmm.
Coconut Kid asked if we could name our bases because I think he noticed that we got the word container fort down there, and I think the answer to that is no.
No, you find a base, you claim it, you make it yours, but it has definitely got an identity on its own, and that identity is what you'll see on the screen.
And we had actually talked at one point about taking things like the names of maps and stuff like that and randomizing to kind of create more of an illusion that you're all in different places doing different things. But in the end, we ended up coming back to the idea that if we gave things more consistent names, then players would have an easier time talking about the game outside of the game.
Right.
Like,
it allows you to sort of share your experiences more directly.
yeah, so you could say, "Oh, I was in the container fort," and everyone knows what you're talking about because they didn't name it, like Chuckarama or something instead.
It's good for those water cooler moments.
So Hellraiser asks, when zombies attack your base, can they destroy your crops? And so, I mean, is that basically
kind of actually? If
they break the farm facility,
if the
right?
random thing that gets damaged because you didn't defend against the siege was a farm or a garden, yes, you would totally lose your food income for a period of time.
They just eat all of your strawberries.
That's right, because zombies love strawberries.
They're very close to brains.
Right. They think it's blood. They can't really tell the difference.
I know. If we have vegan zombies, they might want some grains.
Oh my god!
I'm going.
I feel like we should get Lewis in here. So Loplops asked, this is a good question, does the base owner have to give another player permission before they raid their storage locker?
So here's
How does this work?
there's a very important distinction here. Your friends that are coming into your game and playing around in your game, when they interact with the storage locker, they're going to see their stuff, not your stuff. If you want to pick items out of your supply locker and give them to them, you have the power to do so, but they don't get to just raid your fridge for stuff. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
And you don't get to raid theirs. Like people decide how much they want to share and how much they want to. Yeah. Let's see here. So Stress Test said that was the best nerd joke of the day, 10 out of 10. So you got the approval of the community. Full Fury asks, do damaged facilities look damaged out in the world too, or just on the base map?
We a variety of artists went to great lengths to make damaged versions of an awful lot of facilities, and you will see them sort of like disheveled and stuff pushed off to the side.
It will be very obvious that something is horribly wrong with that particular thing.
Right.
Yep.
They also went to great lengths, get back up on the video,
think that was the
of having
construction,
all
right?
sorts of great idle animations around our stuff in the base.
Oh, yeah, like these
right,
guys,
so
yeah?
these guys, and
They're working over here, and
so,
I think he's building that, and I think that other person's actually standing watch.
right.
Yeah, so basically, if you've got an action going on in a facility, a character will try to go and
And do
act out that action.
Now, granted, if we have like zombies come and attack the base, they will actually stop what they're doing and go run down and attack, but the action will keep making progress.
Yeah,
You don't have to, trying to minimize the amount of sort of fiddly stuff.
Because we're not also trying to simulate their coffee breaks and food breaks and stuff. We're just like,
You will occasionally see them sitting down eating a can of beans. That's still
just
there.
it, yeah.
That's totally a thing, yeah.
Well, the kind of cool thing I think we've mentioned before is the duality of, so you have your base screen right here. You can open up all these things. You can choose what facilities, what actions you want. You can access this from the base screen. You can also do it IRL in the base itself.
Oh, yeah.
we didn't actually see that in the video,
which
did
is
we?
something that Brian and I worked really
I'm so
hard
happy we got that.
to get happen, and we did. And so if you're out in the world, you can always, no matter where you are, check in on the state of your base. But also, if you want to be granular and literally run up to a facility, oh gosh, I wish we could fast forward to somewhere on the screen where it shows, no.
Wow, he spent
I
a
think
lot
we
of time in
actually
the menu.
never-
Back up, middle.
Back up.
I don't know if he ever walked up in person.
but back to
There we go.
there.
Yeah, see the
interact.
interact button?
Why to interact? Yay!
No, you didn't push the button.
Right
So,
there.
Yeah, it's also that's the way you interact with facilities as a co-op player.
Yeah.
You have to walk up to everything in person and then find it, and then stuff goes.
You
right
don't even
into-
have a base screen when you're a client.
Right.
Correct. That's all. That's not something you need to be worried about. When you're there, you're really just there to help, so that you all have the same goals and you're all sort of on the same terms.
True Vulgarian. Yes, I know that's not real IRL, but in-game IRL.
Too meta.
Let's see here. Silent is asking questions about vehicles, and that's. I think we'll probably have a separate.
We have some
stream about
guys
that
with
at
some
point.
thoughts on vehicles
We'll probably
here.
need
yeah.
at least one full stream to talk about vehicles.
Damien asks, "What can you do to avoid sieges?"
Be quiet.
Yeah, you can run a smaller community so you make less passive noise. Don't build two things at once. Maybe don't build and fix things at the same time.
So that gets to like a deeper question, which is, so what things cause noise? So building causes noise?
Yes. So you'll see we'll probably see it in here at least once. If we go to any of these facility actions, we're
Like down here where it says labor,
labor.
materials, and time, it might also say noise, right?
I think we actually we tweaked that so you don't generally worry about it at that level.
Okay.
But like as you have more stuff going on at base, you'll notice the threat level meter sort of going up and going down. But generally, anything that takes time will probably produce some amount of noise. And so the more progress bars you see on the base screen, the more stuff you're probably doing at the same time, the more noise you're probably making. But the safest thing you could do is run a smaller base with fewer people. They'll make less noise. You'll get smaller sieges. If you have enough ammo in your base and you're not home, your people will fight sieges without you. They'll just use up a whole ton of resources that you may have not wanted to spend that way.
And so Keeler's Gaming Studios asks, will our supplies go to waste if we collect too much? Like, will food spoil?
Yes, it
Yes.
will. Storage is a thing. You need to have a fridge for your food, or it's going to go bad.
So while we have a functionally infinite room for items, we don't have functionally infinite room for resources.
Right.
Exactly. And like the Container Fort has an upgraded storage facility, so you can keep a lot of stuff here. But if you were to, at your starter base or any of the sort of mid-tier bases, you're going to find that you probably want to upgrade your storage if you want to really be able to do a big stockpile and then ignore your resources for a while.
Dystopian Rain is asking if we've got just way too many
can see it
items
all
in,
right
in
Yeah.
our supply locker, is there a way to get rid of items? Like, what do we do to deal with just an overabundance
Way
of
too much
items?
stuff. I mean, you could drop stuff in the world. I don't know how much we want to talk about trade.
So they're actually asking specifically about, can I give them away to enclaves for influence?
I don't know how much we want to say today,
Yeah.
but wouldn't that be cool if that exact thing Jeffrey just said happened?
Yeah. So I think it's not too that to be able to say that. Yeah, there's a few things that you can do that
Yeah.
you can trade them away for influence. We can get
There's
into details.
other
of that
stuff
later.
too. I've saw questions asked that I don't think we want to answer today about what you can do with weapons when they're in various states.
Okay. Yeah. I think we can save that for later. But yeah, there's definitely, if you don't like being a hoarder, if you like the sense of having a small focused number of items to worry about, and you've mulched everything else into some more generic resource, you have options.
There's lots. Yeah, there are ways to get value out of having a giant pile of stuff without having to sit on the giant pile of stuff. That's a sort of strategic goal for us.
And if you don't want to get the value out of the giant pile of stuff, you can literally just fill up your bag and toss it outside if you really want.
You could definitely
to.
just put items on the ground, and some number of them get remembered. Then you just have the.
UL Vanilla asks, can you
pile.
swap out facility mods for others? Yes.
Once you've installed one.
Yes, you have to take
Yes.
some time and labor to remove it, and some time and labor to install a new one, but you can swap them out.
Let's see here. How much health vehicles have, and do I need to find fuel for them? So last time we were talking, I think Fogey might have answered the question about fuel. That vehicles definitely do require fuel this time around. And your base is actually one place where you can manufacture the tools that you need in order to maintain your vehicles.
Yep. So if you have you'll find fuel as a rucksack. If you want to in the field, you can actually break that down, and you'll get a gas can, which is a consumable item you can use to just put fuel into a car. Sometimes you'll find cars in the world that have no gas or almost no gas. So they might not get all the way home unless you do that. You can also take the fuel rucksack home. You'll get way more fuel out of it. Just sort of the balance is designed to you really want to get the rucksack home. You don't want to break stuff down in the field unless you really have to. And then if I think you've seen him go to his storage facility at least once. The storage facility has a little load gas can thing that he talks about in the video, and then you can make a bunch of those and then take them out with you.
So you can actually load up your trunk with gas and then drive around, and then as you're collecting things, put them in the trunk and then
Put the gas
use
in
the
the-
gas.
Yeah,
Put
use the gas
I do
to
this
fill your car all
the time. Yep.
We're not gonna talk about exact numbers of bases on each map. We want you guys to get out there and explore the world and find them, but we have a good variety.
You guys should have enough. Somebody should have a lot of fun building the inevitable wiki, and then you guys can all nerd out together to enjoy the experience of watching that understanding form over time. We don't want to spoil that. That's a fun time.
Please play our game, guys.
Best way to find out about it.
So here's Thrill Seeker asks, is it possible to create a safety bubble with Outposts like in the original game, where you would place them specifically to block zombies and keep them out of your base?
So you can if you want to, but it is a goal for balance for us that like you get a lot of value out of Outposts based on what they provide back to you systemically. That's not just having them provide that safety net. For example, like they give you access to your supply locker, which matters a lot. And so if you want to like go and do missions that are happening on like the far side of the map or in a neighborhood that takes a little bit of time to get to from your home base, having an outpost that's far away is really valuable. You can switch characters there and you can get your healing items and you can sort of take care of yourself at the outpost. So the answer is yes, but I don't think you'll want to as often as you did in the first game.
Yeah, like you put a lot of work into sort of like trying to create enough different values for Outposts that players will not. There won't just be one single like.
There shouldn't be a dominant strategy. Exactly.
Well, there shouldn't be we'll start you with the easy one, and then you want the medium, and then you want the big. It's more like, well, what's important to you? Do you want a lot of space to build stuff? Do you want something really remote? Like, that's kind of beautiful as it really does enable what kind of play style you are personally. So, yeah.
That is the hope.
Azimor asks, can you drop rucksacks off at your outpost?
So you cannot drop rucksacks off at an outpost. It is important that you actually go home from time to time, see your people, check in with them, maybe switch to a follower, hear them talk about the state of their world and their experience. You can take other items home at an outpost, but rucksacks will eventually drive you home. There's also a really important co-op mechanic here, in that if you find rucksacks as a co-op player, you actually have the option to take them back to the host base.
Right.
And then you can actually give them to the host, and then you just get a prize for that, basically a pile of influence that you can take back home with you and use for a whole variety of things.
Yeah, so there's more of a distinction in our game, in the sequel, between rucksacks and items. So items have one set of rules for how you can deliver them and receive them and stuff like that, and rucksacks have a different set of rules. Because and a big part of it was the stuff that Brian was describing.
Yeah.
Kamikazer asks, will there be an in-depth tutorial for base building? Not really. There is definitely a tutorial pointing you towards the base, saying, look, build something, see how that works. Yeah. But then our goal was really, and I think, I don't know if you want to talk more about this, the goal is kind of to have the UX teach it to you itself, right? Be self-explanatory enough?
The goal is that when you have time to actually play around the screen yourself, that you can, everything you need to see is top level, and if you want to drill in deeper and figure out the nuts and bolts and granularity of stuff, it's all accessible to you, so that should
there's been a lot of questions about things like switching crops into medicinal crops or using food to turn it into biofuel. These are things that we want you guys to explore.
Spoilers, Brad.
Yeah, we want you guys to explore.
By explore, he's talking about things he may or may not have seen.
True Vulgarian asks if we're still going to be carrying backpacks in backpacks. Yeah, you can still carry backpacks.
You can scrunch your backpack up and put it in a backpack.
Who doesn't?
It's the only reason my closet closes at this point.
Exactly.
Backpackception, yes.
Very true.
Let's see here. Webfox is asking, will characters get more trust for each other and based on our mission? Trust is actually... The trust mechanic from the original game is really not in this game at all. We can talk more about the way characters progress and their standing in the community and stuff like that later, but it is different from the original game, so a lot of your assumptions from the first game probably won't carry over here. Alfred Ben asks, do you start the game with a base, like in State of Decay 1?
You actually didn't in State of Decay 1, or you sort of had the ranger station, which was...
Yeah, but the tutorial drove you to a base.
Right.
And so I think it's fair to say that in this game, when the very first new game experience does drive you into a base. It starts you with something pretty straightforward. And then later on, as you're an advanced player, you've got more options to decide like sort of how and where you want to start.
You will find yourself with a base before too long that feels like a real base.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see here. So, are there any special built facilities that you can have some bases and you can't get them elsewhere?
Tons and tons. I think
this is his jam.
I think there are actually more of those, at least under the hood. I don't know how much of it comes through on paper than there are actual buildable facilities. I think they were kind of the assets the other day.
So, yeah.
Actually, that many buildings. Now, tons and tons of unique stuff.
There's a much more of a variety of that in this game than there was in the original game, and so each base that you explore and find is going to have just a new set of revelations to you.
There'll be like sometimes it's just if you build a farm in this particular base in an open field, the dirt's better, so you can grow more crops here.
Yeah. Han Solodolo asks, can hints be turned off? Yes, hints can be turned off. And also, we've got actually a pretty clever system for the way that hints work, so that early on in the game, you're getting them fast and furious, but then later on, like as you've seen them already, you'll see them a lot less. So, like for instance, we've got a dodge hint. Like if you're hit by zombies 3 times without dodging, or something like that, then it'll pop up on the screen saying, "Hey, you can push the B button to dodge."
You can do this thing.
But
you
then next time we'll wait
yeah.
6 hits before we remind you.
I left
And then
my
we'll
character
hit 9
running
hits.
at my desk the other day, and I came back, and for the first time I saw, "Please dodge."
Yeah, exactly.
Like apparently, if you
I'm
ignore
so
it,
glad somebody
if you
found that
ignore it long
naturally.
enough,
Yeah.
Jeffrey has a tip that goes, "Please dodge." Your players don't want you to die.
So yeah, we only get flippant if you're really, really trying very
Kind of
hard.
like the Simpsons hand a little bit.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
complicated. It's a
Exactly.
long time.
Epic Batkiller asks, is it possible to have multiple main bases?
One base is enough stuff going on at a time, plus the outpost, plus all your characters. The amount of stuff you have to worry about and keep in your head is something we've been very deliberate about. I don't think it would feel like the same experience if we had more than one of these at a time, and it also sort of makes the progression really fuzzy.
Yeah.
So
So by and large, we generally went for kind of depth over quantity. A
Yeah.
lot of that, like we'll try to give you one thing but make it amazing, or give you make it really deep and interesting, or give you like a handful of characters and make them each really unique and complex. Instead of saying, well, you got 74 characters, but you don't know any of their names.
Exactly.
You know?
No, it should be enough that you actually know what you're looking at and feel like you care.
Let's see here.
Also, didn't I understood that reference. That's all you're getting.
Good question from Thrill Seeker. Will we be able to see the pre-built facilities before we decide to move in? Oh my gosh, Brian! Someone's asking about your thing.
This screen.
This is like his moment, guys.
It's you two actually explaining the player yes, no, when you go to move into a base, you get a total manifest of all the stuff that's going to be at that base that tries to call out what it is, and you can select it and bounce around and see stuff. It's you should not feel surprised by the stuff that you paid for when you go and you move into a base. A little bit of surprise, like the delight of, oh cool, that's how this works, but not like, wait, how good is this exactly?
And oh shoot, no, these slots are all taken. I thought they were available.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We've got a few different people asking about infinite play, because in the first game... Oh,
have-
see you later,
Bye,
Brad!
I have to go get my child. Bye, everybody.
See you later.
Little man, a high five.
We got a lot of questions about infinite play, but whether or not you can just sort of keep playing the game forever, because in the original game you would run out of story and you would definitely run out of map, and at some point you just kind of couldn't continue,
Right.
and unless you just started over from scratch, or the reason we created the breakdown DLC was so that the player could refresh their map and start over again, and we added other features to it too, but the core of that idea was just we wanted players to be able to play for a very long time, even though the map would eventually disintegrate, eventually run out of stuff.
Isn't anything else there.
right.
And so so for this game, we decided to make the game just natively support infinite play. So so that's the reason why we have multiple maps you can transfer between.
Yep.
And so when you exhaust what one map can offer you, you can pick up everything and move. And it's not that different from moving from base to base within a map.
Except that there's an entirely new landscape
New.
with all 3 sites.
It's like the frontier, the
It's
settlers.
very much.
It's like you're loading up your cover wagon. Now we're heading out to
Going on
a
to the next
brand
town.
new era.
There's also, starting a new community on a new map should
Yeah.
feel materially different than the
Yeah.
one that you played on the last map. We've sort of been very diligent over the course of this game to try and make all these different little systems support you coming back and playing a new community on a new map should feel sufficiently different that there's enough cool, exciting stuff that you want to hang out and find it all out and see it and experience it once again.
Yeah, and a big part of that has been the bases. It's like what
Yeah.
base, like you can explore all of the bases on one map, and you've still only seen a third of the variety and the
Exactly.
options and
Right.
things like that you
I
can
don't know how much
find.
we've said about the different maps, but each one has a very different vibe to each. They're
Yeah.
all equally beautiful and exciting, if that's all we can say.
Yeah, no, we have talked. I think they actually did. They did put out profiles of the maps, and so
Yeah.
we know. Yeah, we know there's one that's sort of like a little industrial town on a river. There's one that is out in the desert on a plateau, and there's one that is a valley full of farmland.
Yep.
And each of those, you can sort of make some assumptions about what advantages or differences each of those might have, and there's more you haven't thought of. They're all really
true.
interesting, and each of them spent a lot of their time with one particular environment artist, so they did shuffle them around a fair amount. But they each have a lot of personality to them and some really interesting, cool, unique landmarks.
Yep. And like, it actually should be said, like, should you, if you play the game for, say this becomes a hobby for you and you're just playing for weeks and weeks and weeks, and eventually you do wind up going back and playing on the map you played before, things can play out very, very differently. You will meet different people, you will have different characters, you will have a experience which is intentionally made different than last time based on just a smorgasbord of random simulation factors.
All right. Well, let's see here. Yeah, we got kind of 1 minute left, but okay. Last question. Epic Bat Killer asks, "Are there turrets for base defense?"
What is the difference between a turret and a person holding a gun? You tell me.
Yeah. So to the degree that a person is a turret, there are turrets for base defense.
Try giving them the 50 cal. It's great.
Actually, one last question from Sassy Snake. When you're moving from map to map, or just from base to base, the stuff in your supply locker, where's it go?
Stays in the supply locker.
So it just you brought your supply locker with you.
No, it has all your stuff.
It's got all your stuff in it.
It's all right there.
You picked it up.
It's
you carried it
exactly
over.
where you left it.
Put it on top of your car.
And really, there's no difference whether you're moving from map to map or just from base to base within a map. Same rules apply for moving, right? It's just exactly the same. So no real difference there, except, like you said, there's a ton of new crap when you arrive. So that is our show. Thank you so much
all for coming.
Yeah, thank you all for coming, and a special thanks to Brian Giaime and Susan Oleinik.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys, for having us.
And so come back. So next week, IGN is still going to be releasing more video, more articles.
They have so much good stuff coming out.
Yeah.
It's really keep watching IGN.
So exciting.
So I've basically been, sort of like haunting them and hitting the refresh button every morning at 9 o'clock. See what happens.
What's today? What are we talking about this time? Okay.
So whenever video comes out on IGN, we're going to come out and discuss it in depth with you guys. So keep your eyes open for that. And in the meantime, we'll see you later.
Bye.
So our mic is still live, but I should mention that at some point, Wonder is going to add like a subscribe link here.
Oh,
Oh, we're
right.
supposed to do the
We're supposed to subscribe
click on
to
these
YouTube.
things.
Yeah, like
Do
a
you
like
wanna,
and subscribe. So we're not seeing it, but when Wonder
Right.
adds it, there's going to be like videos
Do you want
to
to
click.
put us back on the top left and we'll just point at the
We'll
corner?
just point to the corner. Yeah, go
that
for
just
it.
makes Wonder's job harder. No.
No.
Let's just
okay.
let's just leave it this way.
Okay,
All right.
fine.
Fine.